also talked about a couple big things, which I believe, especially as men, one of our biggest fears is of failure. And and it has so many different things coming at us. We fail to ourselves. We have our family looking at us, and we might look like a failure to them. We have other people. We don't want to look like a failure to them. And you had some big things happen in your life, right? You had this big software that had failed probably in your mind at that time. The marriage was failing. So talk to us about that and what you learned, because obviously I think that's where your podcast comes out, where talk about this fears of, all these different things.
Yeah. So to talk about all, there's a lot of big things there, but I mean, it was like the perfect storm. It was just like whoa, like, I mean, why am I having to experience, like things have been going so well for so long. Why am I having to experience all these things at once and trying to make sense of it? And I spent a lot of time really searching and seeking. And, I've got a good friend, Linda, that had told me, it's like, you're trying to find answers and all this striving could be the problem. Mm-hmm. Right? Striving to find the answer. And that gets back into the surrender part of it. But the fear, I mean, everybody's got fear, right? And that was the whole purpose of, eventually getting to where I had the Braver podcast created, was because, Jordan Peterson, I think I had listened to something that he had done about the clinical studies regarding fear and how fear doesn't really go away, and it's like your choice on how you want to approach it, right? Either you can be afraid of it and not look at it, right? And just like know it's there. And basically you end up kind of like closing in, mm-hmm. very narrow focused on what you're trying to achieve. And you like block everything else out. And you're just like trying to stay safe. And you're just like shrinking and shrinking, playing very small. And, that's one way, right? Because you're going to do one or the other, right? It's there, right? Whatever it is that maybe you're not even aware of sometimes, that there's that fear there and you're operating because of it. But the other approach, he said, was voluntarily looking at it, right? And it's not that the fear goes away, it's that we become braver. And so if you voluntarily dig into how you're operating, like how are you operating throughout the day? What are you avoiding? And why, if you're doing things out of habit or, bad habit, good habit, whatever, could that be a sign that you're avoiding something or something that's there that's really, something that you should look into? And a lot of times the painful inner problems are the ones we least want to go to, but it's like the obstacle is the way kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. That's the wound that we have that we should look at and address because it's screaming out for us to do it. And so when you, like Jordan Peterson was talking about, if you voluntarily look at it, right, and choose to become braver and look at it and address it and work towards some kind of resolution in it, and really a lot of times it's just about acceptance. It's not even something that needs to be fixed, for heaven's sake. A lot of times it's just accepting reality. It's accepting some things about ourselves. And he said, when we voluntarily do that and choose to become braver, it's like a call to action, and it's this adventure. It's a call to adventure, to do that. And so I love that. I wanted to create a podcast around that. But that's basically, when everything kind of hit the fan, several years ago with all this stuff happening at once. I'd like to say that I chose to become braver, but I didn't. I kind of surrendered, and it led me to that. But now, like seeing those things and just, I'm okay with whatever happens. And, people listening might think, well, it's okay because you're financially free and like, mm-hmm. no matter what, you've got this cushion.
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes like things, with the software company, at times we've had major bleeds month after month after month. And, it's not easy, but, just, relaxing into, because when we narrow in and we cower in a way and we narrow in, we're not open to all the possibilities of everything and the ways that our lives can change, right? We're just so narrowly focused. And I think that was one of the first books, I think, when I was going through the troubles personally. There was a book by Deepak Chopra. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But it was like the 7 spiritual laws of business or something like that. And that's the only reason why I was willing to read it, was because it was like, business related. So,
Yeah.
but he talks exactly about that, I think. And it's like this whole, when we try to figure something out and we have like our own beliefs and our own like narrow knowledge of a situation, we really close ourselves off to the bigger, opportunities that are within a lot of that stuff. And so I
Yeah.
don't know if that's really high level and general enough to understand, but
No, no, no. Thank you so much for sharing. And as we're kind of winding down the show here, I just kind of want to get back. So, and I know this is a really, really sore, could be a really sore subject, deep subject, but your marriage, obviously. And I was at a mastermind one time, and a guy was very, very successful, had a lot of money, and he had gotten divorced. And his comment was, there's no public success that can ever replace your private failure. So I want to just kind of hit home, because a lot of people, marriage is really, really hard. Number one, I've been married 9 years, and it's just a hard thing. And did you do something to really help you through that? So we won't talk about, the downturn of it, but after it was over, what happened? Like, did you get someone to help you through it? What was something that really you could grab onto to help you through this tough situation?
yeah, it was community and joining, a men's group and getting to where I could talk through. So it was like moving away from isolation, because that was, at first, that was like the thing. It was like I was kind of like ashamed, right? And it's this whole thing of like, oh my, to me, that was the most difficult thing, because I mean, I've always felt that family was most important. So for that, my biggest thing was my kids. Like, my kids won't have both of their parents all the time with them, and I couldn't allow it. Like, I could not allow that. And then I had to, and that was really, really hard. Still hard to this day. But having, not isolating and being ashamed, being willing to share, especially for men and for entrepreneurs, like, to share how we feel is not natural. And if you're not, if you weren't raised with, good role models in that respect, it's super difficult. And I'm still learning how to do it, but around, men that, I feel are safe, that we can do those things. And the group I'm in, the first time I went to one of the meetings, this guy, we do different processes, and these guys were facing each other, and one of them ended up, yelling at this other guy right in his face, and just, and the whole idea is understanding that it's not about this other guy. He's just holding space for him. And it was like, wow, this is really cool, because this is stuff you can't do anywhere else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's really helping people to let all that stuff that's in there, because we hold it in, especially, men these days. We can't be angry. We can't be, violent. We can't, and in safe ways, right? Not in ways that are going to harm anybody, but,
Yeah.
a lot of those things. And so I think that probably helped the most. And then just, having a deeper relationship with God, and that's ever evolving for me, that how that's being approached. And meditation, I started doing meditation twice a day, every day. And that's been a game changer for me too, just calming the mind, and really, it's been a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear that all the time, especially for men. Isolation. It's like that's where the enemy can come in, and that's where we need community. That's why I'm part of men's groups, church groups, mastermind groups. And so if you're anybody out there, like, if you feel isolated, you have to have community, whether you're, successful, not successful, going through anything. It's so important to have community in your life. Thank you so much for checking out the Brett Snodgrass channel. If you like this video, please slam on that like button. And if you really like it, then subscribe to our channel here. And remember to leave us a comment below, and I'm going to try my hardest to reply to all the comments. Thank you guys so much. This is why I do what I do. Every single week, I come out with content that focuses on success, freedom, and living out your purpose. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.